Okay, algebra students, this is going to be a little bit of review and a little bit of new stuff. Oh, gosh, going too soon. All right, so here we go. Remember how we graph equations in the y equals mx plus b form. Remember that the slope is m, that is the change in y over the change in x, but most kids think of that slope as rise over run. And we use that to graph, and then b is the y-intercept, and that's where we can start our graph, y-intercept. Because now what we're going to look at is how do you graph an inequality here. So I wish I could erase that, and then mx plus b. So how do you graph something greater than or less than or greater than or equal to or less than or equal to? All right, so let's jump into an example. How would we graph this? Well, if I told you let's graph y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x minus 3. Ignore this sign for now and just graph like it were an equal sign. So how would you graph y equals 1/2 x minus 3? Well, hopefully you would go down here to minus 3, then you go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, or down 1 back 2, down 1 back 2, down 1 back 2, down 1 back 2, down 1 back 2. Okay, this would represent all the places where y equals 1/2 x minus 3. We want to know where y is greater than or equal to. Because it can equal, because y can equal 1/2 x minus 3, we actually want to connect these lines with, or these dots with a solid line. It can be that value. Now the best way to graph this is plug in a point that's not on the line, like 0, 0, and see if you get a true statement. Is 0 greater than or equal to 0 minus 3? Plugging in 0 for x, you get a 0 times 1/2, which is 0. Minus 3. And the answer is yes, that's true. So then all of these dots up here represent the places where y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x plus 3. So you shade this part of the graph. Your answer is no longer a line, it is a whole region of points. Let's do a few more examples and a couple of points that I don't want to gloss over. We are graphing inequalities, things that look like y is greater than or less than mx plus b, and y is greater than or equal to or less than or equal to mx plus b. I did something pretty quickly there, but I want to make it very deliberate right now in the video. When we graph a linear inequality, we are doing almost the exact same thing that we were doing when we were graphing one-dimensional inequalities. So remember, x was less than 3, and you would graph that with a 3 here and an open circle, and then it'd be pointing that way. Or down here, we might have graphed y is greater than or equal to, or sorry, x is greater than or equal to -5, and we would graph this, and we'd have a -5, and we'd have a closed circle, and we'd point this way. Well, now we're just extending another dimension here, right? Like a vertical and a horizontal dimension. And when we do that, if we have an open circle, how are we going to graph a bunch of open circles together? That's not going to look nice. So if it is an inequality without an equal sign, you graph it just like you would a line, except you use a dotted line. And if it's an equal sign, you use a solid line. And then once you get that solid line or that dotted line, you're going to shade either part of the coordinate plane that line divides. So let's try another example. If I said graph 3x minus 2y is less than 6, Couple ways you can graph this. You can solve this for y, so subtract 3x from both sides. You've got to be careful. Subtract 3x from both sides because your next step is dividing by -2. And when I divide by -2, this becomes positive 3/2 x, and this becomes -3. But the inequality sign flips. Remember how the inequality sign flips with a negative. You go down to -3, and then it's up 3 over 2. Up 3 over 2. Down 3, backwards 2. Down 3, backwards 2. Look at the inequality sign. Ask yourself, is it a solid or dotted line? Because there's no equal sign, it's a dashed line. So you don't need to use a solid line. Actually, if you use a solid line, you would lose points. Up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2. So you keep that dashed line going. Now, pick a point like 0, 0. It can't be on the line, because any point on the line will make y equal this. So we want a point over here or a point over here. And you can pick any point you want. I just think 0, 0 is the easiest. Is 0 less than 6? And the answer is yes. So you shade everything over here. Good? Let's try one more example. All right, one more example. I'm going to give you the key word to show that you watched the video. The key word is yellow. All right, so mark that down in your notes. Now, what do we have here? Let's do another example. This time, y is less than -2/5 x plus 3. Graph that linear inequality. Y is less than or equal to, not 3, let's make it 5. -2/5 x plus 5. All right, if you pause the video, you should have started by going up to +5, putting a dot there, then going down to over 5. Down to over 5. Up to backwards 5. Up to backwards 5. You don't have to do that across the whole thing. I'm just showing you multiple points. Now, solid or dotted line or dash line. You want a dash line. Sorry, it's hard for me to use this little tablet. Dash line. Pick a point that's easy to check. I like 0, 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 0 plus 5? That is true. So 0, 0 works. That means put over here. If you had picked the point right over here, let's say 10, 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 10 times -2/5 plus 5? So you might start to see, oh, here's why you picked 0, 0. But -2/5 times 10, that's -4, plus 5, that's +1. Is 10 less than 1? No. So we don't shade over there, we shade over here. All right? Let's do one more example, this one on your own. Again, so try y is greater than 1/2 x plus 4. Y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x plus 4. Just changed it up there. Y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x plus 4. You go up to +4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Good. Up 1, backwards 2, up 1, backwards 2. No, I did that wrong. I did that wrong. You guys, you knew. Up 1 this way 2. Let me use a different color. Thank you for those of you sitting there going, Stubbs, you're wrong, because you were right. Down 1, back 2, down 1, back 2, down 1, back 2. Now, just so you know, how did I catch my own mistake? I caught my own mistake because I was graphing a line, and I go, wait, that's a negative slope, and it says positive, so I knew I'd made a mistake. So I'm graphing it in yellow. All right, so from 4 up 1 over 2. Good. Now plug in 0, 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to 0 plus 4? That is not true. 0, 0 does not work. So the answer is where 0, 0 is not. Good? All right. Don't forget the keyword. Show me you watched the video. You got to show notes. If I don't see notes, I'll also take points off for the video. Finish any missing classwork. Some of you may notice that you don't have full credit for your classwork. That's because I didn't see it complete in class. Finish all that. You got time tomorrow to finish up as well. All right. Have a good night. Peace.